Okay, in that case, can we start the webcast, please?
Started.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this evening's meeting of Area Planning Subcommittee West. My name's Dave Durrell, Councillor Dave Durrell, and I will be your chairman this evening. My vice chairman will be Councillor Jean Lee. From Democratic Services, we have Adrian Hendry and Vivian Messenger. And from planning officers, we have Jerry Godden and Alistair Prince. Moving on to the agenda, item 1, the webcasting introduction. I would like to remind everyone present that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet or filmed and will be capable of repeated viewing or another such use by third parties. Please could I also remind members of the public who are registered to speak that they will be admitted to the meeting at the appropriate time, which we've done. Please also be aware that if technical difficulties interrupt the meeting that cannot be overcome, I may need to adjourn the meeting. Item 2, advice to public and speakers attending the council planning subcommittees. That advice can be found on pages 5 to 8 of your agenda. Item 3, apologies for absence.
Yes, Chairman, we have apologies from Councillors Knight and Mitchell.
Okay. Thank you. Minutes. Is everybody happy with the minutes to be found on page 9 to 12 of the last meeting?
Agreed.
Seeing nodding, thumbs up, and no waving of hands. So I will take that as read. Thank you. Item 5, declarations of interest. Again, no hands, so I should take that as nothing. Item 6, any other business?
No other business, Chairman.
Thank you. Item 7, local plan submission version planning policy briefing note, standing item on the agenda for noting. You know where it is if you want to find it. Item 8, site visits. I'm assuming nobody wants a site visit on these two. Good. Brings us on to the main part of the evening then. Item 9, EPF 2932/20, Stone Shop Farm Hoe Lane. Alistair.
Hello, can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Yep, good, thank you. Okay, I'll just start the presentation. Okay, can everyone see the presentation?
No.
No, okay.
No. Yes, we can see it now.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so before I begin, there's something I'd like to mention in relation to this application. The conditions relating to the scheme have been reviewed, and it has been suggested before you tonight that all the pre-commencement conditions attached to this permission, apart from conditions 5 and 10, which relate to wheel washing and tree protection respectively, are amended to read prior to above groundworks, and this is due to be in accordance with current planning practice guidance. The application itself is also subject to a deed of variation to the original legal agreement, which is still in the process of being completed. So the proposal before you is an application to vary condition 2 of plan permission, originally EPF 3517, which was for the demolition of existing industrial buildings, vacant stabling, and 5-bedroom residential apartment, and the construction of 18 semi-detached family houses and 18 affordable houses with associated off-street parking private gardens and landscaping, which was allowed on appeal in 2019. The variations to the original permission include the reconfiguration of plots 1 to 18 to provide a mixture of 3 to 4 bedroom dwellings, specifically plots 7 to 10 as 3-bedroom dwellings, and plots 3 to 6, 11 to 12, and 15 to 16, and which have been revised as 2.5-storey dwellings with room in the roof space, creating 4-bedroom dwellings. Plots 9 to 12 have been reorientated, and the parking areas to plots 7 to 13 have been reconfigured. Plots A13 and A14 have been handed to face eastwards. The eaves level of dwellings have been increased by 225 millimetres, and the roof pitches and ridge heights have been revised to 40-degree angles and 700 millimetres respectively. The roof plans have been updated to suit all house types. House types A and B include hip roofs, and house type C includes gable-end roofs with dormers. The streets and elevations have also been updated accordingly. I appreciate there's quite a lot there, and I'll try and show this when we get into the slides. So Stoneshop Farm, so the red line site, is accessed off of Hoe Lane. The site is a former rabbit poultry farm complex that has diversified into stables and livery facility, as well as a number of B1 light industrial uses laid out in a linear fashion, as you can see. Now, we actually received before the meeting a revised location plan in relation to the most recent application, which was EPF 060720, which was also a variation of condition. However, it's been regarded that this site plan wouldn't actually have any effect or any material changes to what's being put in front of you this evening. So this slide shows an aerial view of the site, and the existing dwellings can be seen clearly, along with the access road here and Hoe Lane, which is south of the application site, along with several neighbouring dwellings, which can be seen here. And those neighbouring dwellings are sited approximately 40 metres from the main aspects of the application site. So this slide shows a closer aerial view of the site facing northward. And this is a view of the site facing east. And again, showing the site facing south and facing west. Pardon me. So this slide shows an elevational drawing of the existing buildings currently on the site. So primarily shows the elevations and where those buildings are to be found, respectively, within the existing site plan. This, sorry, pardon me. So this is a site plan in relation to the application that was allowed on appeal. So EPF 3017. And this is the site plan for the current proposal before you tonight. So as you can see, the reorientation of plots 9 to 12 here. I hope everyone can see my mouse. And the reconfiguration for the parking for plots 7 to 13. And also the hand-in of plots A13 to A14 here. So this is a slide of the elevations and the street scene elevations for the allowed application EPF 3500 of 17. And this is an indicative street scene for the proposed dwellings, for the dwellings. So and it is indicative, so plots 1 to 12 and 13 to 18 for the market housing units. This is a street scene for plots 1 to 6. So this shows floor plans for plots 7 and 8, which are to be three bedroom dwellings. And these are the elevations for those dwellings. And these are the floor plans for plots 9 and 10, which are also to be 3 bedroom dwellings. And these are the elevations for that plot type. So these are the sorry, pardon me. These are the floor plans for plots 1 to 2, 13 to 14, and 17 to 18, which are to be 4 bedroom dwellings. And these are the elevations for plots 1 to 2 and 17 to 18. And these are the elevations for plots 13 to 14, which are to be 4 bedroom houses. And these are the floor plans for house type C, so plots 3 to 4 and 11 to 12, which are also to be 4 bedroom houses. And these are the elevations relating to those floor plans. And again, these are the elevations for plots 11 to 12, which are also to be 4 bedroom houses. So these are the floor plans for house type C, which again are to be 4 bedroomed, plots 5 to 6 and 15 to 16. And these are the elevations for plots 5 to 6. And the elevations for plots 15 to 16. that's the end of those plans.
Okay, thank you. We have one speaker on this item, Matthew Wood, who is the applicant's agent. You have 3 minutes once you appear on the screen and unmute yourself, Matthew.
Thank you very much. Good evening to members. This planning application seeks to make minor amendments to Extant Planning Commission Ref EPF/0607/20 at Stone Shop Farm, site redevelopment to provide 36 new homes and associated development as previously approved by the council. The amendments themselves relate to minor design and layout improvements to the approved scheme and are fully supported by the applicant's provider, as confirmed in writing by them during the planning application process. The improvements themselves include the reorientation of some plots to provide a better layout solution and the management of the affordable units in the long term, changes to 8 dwellings to create 2.5-storey properties and making effective use of available space, altering some 4-bedroom dwellings to 3 bedrooms to secure higher quality internal space and greater design variety in line with key NPPF objectives. It is understood that the sole reason this application is being heard before Planning Committee is due to the Parish Council's objection to the proposed amendments. However, as set out within Officers' Committee report, these comments relate largely to technical matters which are deemed acceptable, as well as some policy matters which officers have also confirmed would remain acceptable as part of these proposed improvements to the site's redevelopment. Importantly, officers have made clear that such amendments would remain fully acceptable in Greenbelt terms, including the fact that the redevelopment of the site would not have any substantially greater impact on the openness of the Greenbelt than the existing development or that already approved and lawful on the site. As set out within the committee report, the proposals are fully acceptable in all other respects, including no objections from statutory consultees. Although some neighbour representations have been received, these have been fully addressed within Officers' Committee reports and do not change the positive officer recommendation made. In conclusion, these proposed amendments to the Extant Planning Permission will improve the overall quality of the redevelopment proposed, whilst ensuring that such development will remain fully sustainable and policy compliant. Therefore, such proposals are in line with adopted and emerging local planning policy and the relevant provisions of the NPPF. It is also important to highlight that the approval of this planning application this evening will enable a high quality redevelopment of the site to be achieved promptly, contributing towards the Council's current 5-year housing land supply shortfall. Therefore, we respectfully request that members support Officers' positive recommendation and grant planning permission for this enhanced redevelopment accordingly. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Members, questions, comments? Councillor Bassett.
Thank you, Chairman. Alistair, I think the main thing here is, could you show us the change between what we've approved or what the layout's been approved and what it's going to? I think that's the main thing here is it acceptable, the changes to where everything's moved to? I wonder if you can just show that again.
Yeah, one moment, Councillor. Give me 1 moment.
Thank you. Because to be honest, I remember this one coming in front of us before. We were concerned, I think it was 28 and then it was up to 36, which is why it ended up going to appeal. But then we've of course got the issue of is this acceptable, but we can only look at it on planning merit, shall we say.
Okay, can you see the layout for?
Yeah, I can
this?
see the prior approved one.
Yep. So that's the prior approved layout, and so this is the proposed layout for site layout for this for this scheme.
Yeah. So in theory, there is not very much change in the actual aspects. A few degrees here, a few degrees there.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Because I've always, the flood risk has always been my concern there, because it was quite an active ditch, and I see they've got it culverted, and obviously there needs to be some worry over that one overflowing, because it will flow straight into those little 6 houses there.
Okay. I mean, in terms of the conditions that have been recommended for this application, I mean, the flood risk assessment is one of them. So that's something that we can look at by way of condition, and that's something that can be approved via condition if need be.
Because SUDs apply to this one?
SUDs would apply to this one, yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay, Councillor Sartin.
Thank you, Chairman. Can I just ask a couple of questions around the actual properties themselves? You referred to 4-bedroom and the roof space now being used for a 4th bedroom in some of them. Is there a change in the numbers of 4-bedroom and 3-bedroom houses as was the original appeal that was approved?
There's sorry, pardon me. There's no alterations to the actual number of bedrooms that are being proposed, Councillor. It's a reconfiguration of development to allow for a more efficient use of space. So there's no increase in the number of bedrooms that have been proposed over the original scheme.
Thank you for that. And then on car parking and actually going with the Essex County Council parking standards, the page 23 refers to 2 off-street car parking spaces per 3-bedroom dwelling, but we're talking here of quite a number of 4-bedroom dwellings. Does that change the parking standards?
It doesn't. No, it doesn't change. It would still be classed as the same, because those standards say that it's 3+ bedrooms, so it would still stay the same, and there'll be no changes to that.
I know it implies that there are at least 2 off-street parking spaces per dwelling. I did a quick count up. I was finding hard to find any more than the 72 that would give you just 2 per dwelling. So I just wondered about visitor parking spaces.
Sorry, one moment. Let me just check and see if.
Yeah, it was quite difficult to do the count on the document that I could look up online, and there may well be that there are others that I didn't spot.
Sorry, one moment. That's not information I have to hand, Councillor, but I'm happy to come back to you on it.
Well, obviously it's not going to affect greatly the application, but it's just a bit of concern that there appeared to be, from my counting, any visitor spaces. And then just finally, have plans and elevations been submitted for the affordable houses? Because we've obviously just seen the ones for the market houses, but nothing for the affordables.
The changes that are proposed, the only changes to the affordable units are the handing of the elevations. So, sorry, the handing of plots A, A13 to A14. So that's the only major change for the affordable units, and the other units. So plots 1 to 18, they're the ones that are being assessed fully in terms of their changes.
Thank you.
Councillor Plummer.
Well, thank you, Chairman. I can't really comment on the application itself because obviously it's already been through the planning committee and I don't know enough about the ins and outs. I just want to make my usual comments of this sort of thing. Firstly, it seems a bit irresponsible to be planning a development of this size in an area that's so poorly served by public transport as Nasing. It's sort of forcing people to drive whether they want to or not. That seems short-sighted and not particularly helpful in the current circumstances. And on a similar point, it's yet another application coming before this committee where I can't see any particular provision for renewable energy. We're forcing people to use the big energy companies and not giving them the opportunity to reduce their energy bills and reduce their carbon footprint. Where's the ground source heat pumps? Where's the solar? Where's the wind? I know I'll continue to make this comment, but these planning applications keep on coming up without any consideration of any of that. It just seems ridiculous in this day and age. So, anyway, thank you.
Go ahead, Heather.
Thank you. Yeah, just to clarify, the ridge height is being raised. Is it by 225 millimetres, or is it by 1 metre as the parish council objected to? Thank you.
Okay, so the ridge heights will be raised to 700 millimetres, so 0.7 metres, and the eaves height for the dwellings has been increased by 225 millimetres, so 0.225 metres.
Councillor Sam Kane.
Thank you, Chairman. My question relates to the access road, actually, which forms part of the site. Are there any works on the list of works to do with the access road? And I don't know the site, so perhaps some of my colleagues might assist here. It's the access and egress onto that road from Hoe Lane. It's right on the corner of Hoe Lane. And I noticed from the aerial shot, there's an awful lot of trees there. Are the lines of sight sufficient for that road? And will that road take, for example, a refuse truck easily?
So, a lot of this has been addressed as part of a previous application on the site, which was EPF 0607, which related to the access road itself, or part of the access road itself. Essex Highways were consulted as part of the application, and they had no comments to make on this. So they've, as far as we're concerned, from a highways point of view, there's no concerns from highways, and therefore no concerns from us on this one.
May I just come back? Is the road an adopted road, or is it private?
That's information I don't have at this time, Councillor.
If I can interject there, Councillor Kane, the actual road up to the farm itself wouldn't be an adopted highway. That would be a private road. The highway would end at basically where the red line is, as I remember from the previous applications. That assists.
Thank you. Councillor Sartin.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me come back. It was just to sort of clarify and clear up a point. Reference has been made to the fact that this committee approved this application. That I don't think is the case. We refused it and it was approved at appeal. So I think that needs to just put on record based on the comments that have been made.
That's true, and I will also remind members that we are adjudicating on the amendments to the appeal, rather, so we can't retry the whole thing all over again. So please bear that in mind. We are looking at the changes not the basics of this application. Any other members? I'm not seeing any more hands. Very well. We will take it to the vote then. The recommendation from officers is to grant permission subject to legal agreement and the long list of conditions that are set out.
I shall
Adrian,
take them.
Adrian, are you running the vote?
I am running the route, Chairman. I shall take them through it. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. As always, can you please say for, against, or abstain when I call your name, please? And if you can say your name so that the camera has time to pan towards you before you say give your vote. Okay. Councillor Avey.
Councillor Nigel Avey, for.
Councillor Bassett.
Councillor Bassett, for.
Councillor Heather.
Councillor Heather, for.
Councillor Helen Kane.
Councillor Helen Kane, for.
Councillor Sam Kane.
Councillor Sam Kane, for.
Councillor Leppert.
Councillor Leppert, for.
Councillor Plummer.
Councillor Plummer, abstain.
Councillor Sartin.
Councillor Sartin, for.
Councillor Stocker.
Councillor Stocker, for.
Councillor Lee.
Councillor Lee, for.
And Councillor Dorrell.
Councillor Dorrell votes for.
Okay, that's 10 for and 1 abstention, so it's granted.
Thank you very much. That application is indeed granted. Matthew, if you may stay for the rest of the meeting if you wish, but I'm sure you've got better things to do. So we will let you go if you wish. Okay, moving on. Agenda item 10, EPF 0161/21 Cedar Lodge, Mott Street.
Sorry, councillors, just battling with the technology. Give me one moment. Sorry, pardon me. Okay, so members, this application is for the demolition of existing structures, alterations to vehicular access, the retention of the existing dwelling, and the construction of one detached 4-bedroom house with associated parking and landscaping. This is a resubmission of a previously refused planning application, EPF 0530 of 20, which was for the demolition of Cedar Lodge and the associated outbuildings and the erection of a pair of 4-bedroom semi-detached houses and one detached 4-bedroom house, which was refused due to inappropriate development within the Greenbelt, the impact on the Epping Forest SAC, and inappropriate design. So the application site, outlined in red, consists of a detached dwelling which is located on Mott Street, which is surrounded by residential dwellings, horticultural nurseries and commercial sites. The site itself is wholly within the Metropolitan Greenbelt, is not within a conservation area, and there are no listed buildings attributed to the site. So this shows an aerial view of the site. So you can clearly see sorry, I'll try again. You can clearly see the surrounding nursery buildings and residential properties shown on the street. So this is the existing and proposed site plans for the development. So showing the the proposed site plan shows the proposal in comparison with the siting of neighbouring dwelling and the existing dwelling. So the slide shows the permitted development fallback position outlined in purple, which was agreed under plan application EPF 2877/15. So this shows what could be achieved under permitted development, which is shaded in purple. So a 2-storey rear extension, a single-storey side extension, and another single-storey side extension for the existing dwelling. And this shows the approved site plan for EPF 0810/20. So this shows the proposed landscaping plan for the dwelling. So this is shows the elevations for the existing house. And this is also the existing house, but what's proposed. So there is some demolition of some extensions related to this proposal, which will be seen in much greater detail in a moment. So this is the existing house floor plans, both existing and proposed. So the existing floor plans are shown at the top here, and as you can see from the bottom 2 plans, you can see the extent of the demolition work. So here, and yeah, that's correct. So these are the elevations for the proposed dwelling. And these are the floor plans for the dwelling. And this shows the existing proposed street scene, and yeah, obviously with the proposed dwelling in the middle. So this is a photograph taken from the front of the application site. And this is also taken from the rear of the site, so you can see the existing outbuilding there. Pardon me. So this is an aerial view of the site, where you can see clearly there where the proposed dwelling is going to be sited. This is the same view, well, showing the site from an aerial view, just from a different angle. And again, showing where the proposed dwelling is going to be situated.
Thank you. We have two speakers on this item. First of all is Robert Gibson, who is an objector. You have 3 minutes once you get your camera and everything going.
Thank you, Chair. Can everybody hear me okay?
We can.
Okay, thank you. Dear councillors and council members, in strong objection to the decision to recommend this scheme for approval, I would like to comment as follows. Outline permission for 2 replacement dwellings involving the demolition and rebuilding of the existing Cedar Lodge was granted, as we've seen, under 0180/21, and I've attached a plan marked as previously approved that I sent to you all earlier. As you can see from this plan, the existing and proposed are all on the same building line and are fairly well spaced apart. We would have no objection to this scheme being granted as indicated within that plan. The applicant is now seeking to depart from this original proposal as shown at the plan attached as current proposed, and now not demolish and rebuild Cedar Lodge. And incidentally, on the revised plan, Rose Cottage footprint is shown incorrectly and is not represented properly. It's represented better on the original drawing 34. The upshot of this diversion results in the new and additional dwelling having to be shoehorned into the remaining space, as well as all the off-street parking being concentrated at one side of the development. Additionally, the new dwelling is now significantly closer to the boundary with Rose Cottage and is also set back so far from the building line of the existing street scene such that the majority of the new dwelling will be visible in almost its entirety from the rear of Rose Cottage. I've also attached some images showing the current view and the impacted view that would occur. We would assert that this is extremely visually intrusive, particularly if you consider that we have lived at Rose Cottage for 20 plus years and we've always enjoyed a clear view right up to High Beach and to where Epping Forest starts from the side and the rear of Rose Cottage. The planning officer in his assessment of this proposal considers that there is no material impact on Rose Cottage in terms of loss of light, overshadowing, loss of privacy, overbearing and visual impact that would warrant a refusal. I would respectfully comment that I do not believe that enough weight has been afforded to this aspect by the officer and cannot believe that he has come to this conclusion when it clearly and indisputably is at odds with all of the following policies and will quite obviously affect our residential amenity in terms of all that was listed above. Also, as the footprint of Rose Cottage is not correctly represented on the proposed plan. Respectfully, we live here and are certainly better placed to judge the effect this will have on us. We also believe that the proposed obscured glass window on the flank of the proposed new dwelling is unnecessary and could easily be removed and replaced with a roof light similar to the proposed ground floor side addition. Therefore, we would respectfully request the councillors to please consider that this current proposal is far less suitable for the site than the previously granted, and also to consider that a long-term residence amenity is to be significantly affected and appears to be a secondary consideration over that of the profits of a speculative developer who doesn't even live in the area, especially when there is a far more satisfactory proposal for all concerned already granted. As previously stated, our main objection to this proposal is the positioning of the new dwelling in relation to Rose Cottage. I do have listed here the policies that affect our amenity, but I wouldn't dream to school the learned councillors on local plan policies. So thank you for your time and thank you for the opportunity to put my objections across.
Okay.
Thank you. We also have Stephen Hayhurst, who is the applicant's agent.
Can you hear me, Chair?
We can indeed.
Thank you. Planning permission was previously refused and an appeal dismissed to build 4 dwellings on this site. However, the present scheme would only result in 2 dwellings in line with the outline permission, also for 2 dwellings, granted by the council in April of last year. The existing outline planning permission is a lawful fallback position that must be taken into account. The approved outline drawings indicate 2 houses roughly the same size as the ones proposed now. As the proposed development would not have a greater impact on the openness of the Greenbelt than the approved scheme, it should be regarded as acceptable in terms of Greenbelt policy. The main difference between the current scheme and the outline permission is that the existing house would be retained and refurbished, and only one new dwelling would be built. This will help to make the scheme more viable for the small local development company that owns the site. It would also be more sustainable to reuse the existing dwelling than to have to completely rebuild it. We received a copy of the neighbour's objection letter some time ago and sent a detailed response to the planning officer. He accepted our argument that no technical guidelines would be breached by the proposed new dwelling and that there would be no material impact on the neighbour's living conditions in terms of loss of light, overshadowing, loss of privacy, overbearing impact, or visual impact. The planning officer's acceptance is also subject to condition 16, which requires that one upstairs bathroom window should be obscure glazed and unopenable below 1.7 metres in height. We are happy to agree to this, as we are all the conditions that have been recommended by the officer. So to conclude, this is a well-designed, low-density scheme with a safe vehicular access and sizable private gardens. The proposals also include detailed arrangements for landscaping the site in a manner that would significantly enhance biodiversity. Therefore, I request that you agree to the recommendation and grant planning permission. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to members. Councillor Sam Kane.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I've listened to both sides of this discussion. We have to accept that there is an outline permission extent for 2 properties on that site. So the Greenbelt argument has been heard and won. But I must say I have a lot of sympathy for Mr. Gibson. It would seem to me that if the proposal was for the new building to be along the same building line, then all of the problems disappear, all of the objections disappear. And I can't see for the life of me why it can't be just brought forward that 12 feet or whatever it needs to be done. So at the moment, I'll listen to what my colleagues have to say, but I feel there is an easy resolution to an extended objection, and that's where I'm sitting at the moment.
Would either of the officers care to comment on that, or I noticed Mr. Hayhurst wanted to come back on that. Mr. Hayhurst, do you want to make a comment on that?
Yes, please. Thank you, Chairman. Well, in terms of, I just want to make 2 points about it. It's not as simple as moving that house forward because it completely upsets the parking arrangements at the front. And you would probably lose the really nice landscaping at the front of the house because there are also levels changes to be considered. And the other point I would make is that I don't think it's a question of seeing whether the dwelling can be moved. The question to be asked is the dwelling acceptable against planning policies and against planning considerations in the location that it's proposed? And I think I've looked at it very carefully and the officers have looked at it very carefully. And whilst I can see that by moving it forward, it would provide slightly better conditions for the neighbour, the conditions created by this proposed dwelling would still be acceptable in terms of current planning policies. So to my mind, there can't be a reasonable reason for refusal, even if the neighbour would like something that was better, if you see what I mean. Thank you.
Thanks. Councillor Lee, I think you were next. Your hand went up and down several times.
Look, I was
Virtual hand.
practicing. I was practicing trying to work it properly. Is it possible
to have a look back at the picture showing the house that's staying and how much room is either side. Is that possible, Alistair? Sorry.
Yeah, that's possible. Give me 1 moment. I will. Sorry, Councillor, do you mean the floor, the plans, or the photographs?
Oh, it wouldn't matter which, really. I just wanted to see what was on the side of the house that was going to be nearest to the new build, and how much space there was on the other side.
No problem. 1 moment. Is this okay, Councillor?
Yeah, I was just trying to see. I couldn't remember what side the conservatory was, because I was looking at if it meant that the house could be, perhaps there would be more space that it could be moved over. The conservatory could have gone on to the far side, but I think the conservatory is on the far side, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, right. It was just a thought. Thank you.
No problem.
Councillor Sartin.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, like those who already spoken, my concerns are really basically around the fact that it's taking it back from the building line of the other two properties. But I just wondered, when the outline planning permission was granted, was that on the basis of it being cited where it is now being cited, or has it been moved further back from that original outline approval?
I don't know if Alistair knows that, but we can certainly find out. If you'll bear with us a second. No, probably more than a second while we try and get it up. Which application is that?
I'm actually looking at the previously approved outline plans on my screen, and it appears that it's slightly further back than Rose Cottage, but not as far to the rear as is now being proposed.
Is that EPF 180 of 20?
I can't. This was January 2020.
That sounds like that would be roughly the right thing. I'm just getting it up on my screen at this moment. No, that's not that.
This was the one where the proposal was to demolish the existing house and have two new builds.
Right, I'm just opening. Yes. No, I can't. Hang a sec.
I might be looking at the wrong thing anyway, but.
All right, I'll try and share what I've pick on the right thing. Share.
Yeah.
So, helps if I actually click share, doesn't it? Hopefully you can see that.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yes, yes. So that would be the building line is in that position. So it's further forward than this particular application, I believe. I'm just trying to get those plans up as well. Yeah, so it's that was further forward, and this new scheme would be going further back into the garden. And that's what the planning officer would have assessed it on, was that previous it was this scheme, not the previous scheme. He would have clearly been aware of the previous scheme and would have taken it into consideration when looking at the overall planning history of the site. But as clearly, this is the application that's before you, and office and members have to make a decision on the application that's before you. And the planning officer has looked into this and assessed it against the relevant policies with respect to the impacts on not only the street scene but the amenities of the neighbours. And therefore, the officer, having assessed it, has come to the conclusion that he can recommend this for approval. That has gone through our system, and I would agree with that recommendation.
Thank you for that.
Councillor Heather.
Thank you, Chair. It's just to seek a bit of clarification on what is actually meant by existing structures, and what does that encompass? What's included within demolition of existing structures?
Just one moment. I believe these structures are in the outbuilding at the back of the property. There's also some structures at the front of the property, or at least one small structure at the front of the property, looking at the existing and proposed site plan. I can't quite read that, so I'll just see if I can enlarge it. Yeah, so there's be an outline. There's the outbuilding at the back would be demolished, and there would be what looks like some form of possibly either a shed or a pergola at the front would be demolished, and part of the actual property, the house itself, would be demolished.
Thank you.
Councillor Plummer.
Thank you, Chairman. To us, most of my questions have been answered. Usual renewable energy thing, where is it? But public transport's not so relevant because it's quite a small development. So there we go. Thank you.
Well, to answer, because Councillor Plummer has brought it up a couple of times, much of the renewable energy would be all part of the building regulations anyway. So hopefully that would answer that. But I will look into that further as well. But mostly the building regulations should cover the renewable energy applications, etc. And if they want to do microgeneration, like putting their own windmills up, they've got permitted rights to do that. But it more down to the build, as it were.
Yeah, could I just come back on that quickly? It's just a matter of principle, really. Building regulations cover a lot of stuff, but it just seems bizarre that at the moment people are proposing homes and bigger developments that don't have heat exchangers and ground heat pumps and stuff like that, and solar panels. I don't understand why they're not one of the first considerations for property developers. I know it's not legislated for, but it just seems common sense to me. Thank you.
Any other members wishing to speak? I'm sorry, Mr. Gibson, I'm not really allowed to come back to you.
With respect, Chair, you did allow Stephen Hayhurst to respond also.
Only to a question. I'm allowed to ask to allow people to ask questions. I'm not allowed to ask people to make further comment. So sorry about that. Okay. My own view on this is largely echoes Councillor Sam Kane's views on the matter. I'm not particularly a big fan of where it's situated and how close it is. However, if officers have determined that that is within regulations, I am struggling as a layman with a bit of knowledge to know how on what legal grounds I would object. So I am struggling to know what to do about that. So that's my view. Members, if there are no more comments, we will take it to the vote. The officer's recommendation is to grant permission with all the attached conditions.
Thank you, Chairman. As always, can you reply for, against, or abstain after you've said your name, please? Okay, Councillor Avey.
Councillor Nigel Avey, abstain.
Councillor Bassett.
Councillor Bassett, abstain.
Councillor Heather.
Councillor Heather, against.
Councillor Helen Kane.
Councillor Helen Kane for.
Councillor Sam Kane.
I have to abstain.
Councillor Leppert.
Councillor Leppert, abstain.
Councillor Plummer.
Councillor Plummer, abstain.
Councillor Sartin.
Councillor Sartin, abstain.
Councillor Stocker.
Councillor Stocker, against.
Councillor Lee.
Councillor Lee, abstain.
And Councillor Dorrell.
Councillor Dorrell for.
Right, that's 1, 2, 3, 7 abstentions, 2 against, and 2 for. So the chairman has the deciding vote.
Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. Well, obviously I can't change my decision, so I'm going to have to go with 4.
Okay, so we're now 3, 4. So it has been granted.
Thank you. I would say, members, I really don't like that level of abstentions coming in. You know, we're here to make a decision, and even if it's going to be unpopular or potentially against planning officers, people have got to vote. That's put me in virtually an impossible position there. But that application has been granted. Okay, moving on. Give me a moment to get my agenda back up. Item 11, exclusion of public and press. I assume there's nothing for that.
No need to, Chairman.
Item 12 is administrative. Therefore, I am closing the meeting at 8:04.